What is the absolute best bedding for your snake? It's always the debate in the reptile community, and let's be honest, picking the wrong one can be a total disaster. We're talking serious problems like respiratory infections, awful stuck sheds, fungal infections, and a stressed out animal that just refuses to thrive. But choosing the right one, that's a complete game changer. The right substrate helps to create a secure, healthy home for your snake to live a long, healthy life. It gives them enrichment, supports their natural instincts, and frankly, makes your job as a keeper way easier. And stick around to the end, I'll give you the top tips I've learned that works great with my snakes. A substrate isn't just snake litter, it's a critical piece of their environment, and it becomes the basis for your husbandry and can have an outsized impact on their health and your time spent on upkeep. Now, you can go bioactive, and I have a lot of love for my bioactive folks, but that is an entirely different subject and another learning curve in itself. In this video, we're going to stay focused solely on non-bioactive options. If this is your first time here, hey, I'm Will, and it's great to have you. Our goal here is to do our best to help out new snake keepers and set up the #1 resource and community for the hobby in 2026 and beyond. Sorry for my voice, I'm a little under the weather, and that's why my avatar is going to be taking this video for me. Alright, so there are 4 things to consider when looking at substrates for your new scaly family member. First, we have safety. Is this substrate prone to mildew? Does it have toxic oils? And what's the risk of an impaction if your snake accidentally swallows some during feeding? It is an overstated risk in general, to be honest, but it's still a risk to think about. What about the risk of labial pit clogging? These are the heat sensing pits pythons have, and that's a deal breaker, and all of these are deal breakers depending on your species. Second, this is the big one, is humidity retention. A snake's need for humidity is tied directly to its species and where it comes from in the wild. Getting this wrong is the fastest way to cause health problems, especially with shedding. Trust me, I've been there. But it can also increase the risk for respiratory issues or fungal infections. Third on the list is burrowing and enrichment. So many popular pet snakes, like hognose snakes and even corn snakes, are natural-born burrowers. A substrate that lets them dig tunnels and hide makes them feel safe and secure, which is essential for your new family member settling into your new home and eating for you. I've experienced this with baby hognoses several times. And finally, cost and maintenance. How much does it cost? How easy is it to spot clean or to perform a full change-out? Does it mildew or get smelly easily? That's again just a breaker for me. Enclosure upkeep is important, and the last thing we want to do is make it even more of a pain for new keepers. So first in the ring is an old school classic, aspen shavings. This is probably one of the most common substrates out there. It's light, fluffy, it's what a lot of us, including myself, started with. So let's talk pros, and it's safe, though it has the risk of being swallowed with your prey item. The risk is low due to it actually just sticks to the prey, and it basically falls off when it gets pulled off during the swallowing process. The tiny amounts that might get swallowed would pass just fine, though. Aspen's biggest win is its structure. It is an absolute fantastic burrowing substrate. Snakes like corn snakes, king snakes, and especially hognose snakes can create these amazing stable tunnels all through their enclosure, which is incredible enrichment for them. It's also super easy to spot clean. Waste just sort of clumps up and is really a breeze to scoop out one at a time. On top of all that, it's usually one of the cheapest options you can find. But, and this is a huge but, Aspen has one massive critical flaw. It has zero tolerance for moisture. If you need to keep humidity high, aspen is your worst enemy. It molds incredibly fast when it gets wet, turning into a serious health hazard overnight from just an overly splashy hognose in a water bowl. It's because of this that I have went away from it for my hognose. It required me to clean out almost daily, which defeated the purpose of having the tunnels. If you had a different experience, just let me know. Next up are coconut fiber products. And there are 2 ways that it comes: core, the finer ground stuff, and chips, which exactly what it sounds like. This material has exploded in popularity and is one of the most widely used substrates for a good reason. It's safe, non-toxic, can be shipped to you in one of these blocks and rehydrated to expand into a usable substrate. Just, make sure that you don't let it get too dry or it can get dusty, which then becomes a safety concern for your snake's nostrils and your own, honestly. The other safety concern is that the finer core can clog up pythons' labial pits, so keep them on the chips. The #1 selling point for cocoa fiber is its humidity holding power. It's a moisture retaining beast, and it can get damp. It'll slowly release the moisture, keeping humidity levels stable and high for days. This makes it a default choice for species like ball pythons and rainbow boas. It is possible for snakes to burrow a bit in the chips, but it's chunky and won't hold a tunnel or anything, so the core has a great earthy texture, especially when mixed with excavator clay, sand, or topsoil, and does well for burrowing species without becoming too soggy or mildewing. Now for the maintenance, and again, coconut products shine here. They do a great job at absorbing smells and waste, though I'll say the core is not as good at just clumping around waste, and you will end up taking good scoop out that you'll want to replace during spot cleans. You will need to manage the humidity though, and too much moisture with the chips and you end up with a soggy standing water at the bottom of your enclosure. I accidentally had this happen to me with one of my favorite snakes during a work trip, and it caused a severe fungal infection. Let me know if you want to hear about that story. It sucked, and I would happily share what I learned to prevent it happening to others. Too much with the core fibers, and you end up with a muddy mess. I can't tell the waste from the clean stuff whenever it gets like this. So if either get dry though, it'll end up with you'll end up with a dust bowl in your enclosure. It's not good for anybody. Neither option is very expensive unless you insist on highly branded stuff that you ship in the small bags each time. Buy it in bulk from a reputable supplier, and it'll stay really affordable for you. I source my chips locally from Wilbanks. Order my core in bulk from a trusted Amazon supplier. Rehydrate them as needed for spot cleans or a full substrate change, once or twice a year. More if I have a really poopy, happy youngster. Just remember that for the species with easily clogged nostrils or labial pits, go chips. For other species, especially tunnelers, the core straight. So our third contender is cypress mulch. This is a chunkier, shredded, bark-based substrate that instantly gives an enclosure a lush forest floor vibe. It's generally safe, but there are quality control concerns since it can be mixed with other types of wood like pine or cedar, which are toxic to your reptiles. The next safety concern is that it can be a bit bigger and harder and more abrasive than cocoa husk chips. Not usually an issue, especially with larger snakes, but it's always brought up as a con. Cocoa chips are just softer. Just like cocoa fiber, cypress mulch is a humidity workhorse. It holds moisture incredibly well and is fantastic for keeping a tank humid. One of the best features is that it's naturally resistant to mold and decay, which is a huge plus in a really wet setup. This means that you can keep it really damp without the immediate panic of mold or fungal growth. Just don't let it get too wet unless you have a true tropical species, or you'll have the risk of scale rot or fungal infections just like the cocoa chip. Smaller snakes can get under it, but it doesn't really hold a tunnel like aspen or core. The maintenance really is pretty close to coconut husk, but maybe a bit more of a pain if you have big chips and the poop gets stuck to it. My problem was always finding it affordable from someone I can trust and didn't have any toxic woods mixed in, or that I knew that it didn't, and I just don't currently use it for that reason. But if you have a good source, a large snake that needs the higher humidity, it really is a great, beautiful option. Next is Sandy chips, like the products you can find in feed stores. This is a lesser used substrate for pure keepers, but used by large scale breeders to great success. And this is the only one I really haven't used, so I'll only speak to what I know about it. It's safe and no toxic worries since it's made for animals. Low risk of compaction and clogging. Again, like with aspen, as long as your snake isn't getting huge amounts of it in their mouths, there shouldn't be an issue. And most of the choices are too large to get into labial pits or nostrils anyways. This is a low humidity substrate though, and it's made to either like clump around waste and dry it out like kitty litter, or just be easy to scoop out. It won't hold humidity, and depending on which material you get, may still have the mildew issue that Hassman has. And it also won't hold burrows, since it's basically like an oatmeal consistency. The maintenance and cost is why large scale breeders use it though, and it's heat treated to stay odor free. Though I still worry about the mildewing, which is why I really haven't tried it. If you have experience with it, let me know how it is below. It clumps around waste and is easy to spot clean. It can be bought cheaply in massive quantities, so it would be a good option for someone that needs a lot of substrate. All right, paper products. From paper towels and newspaper to dedicated rolls of bedding you can find out there, I'll wrap up paper at once. And yes, it is an option, but with a lot of limitations. I've said it in previous videos, someone will keyboard rage about this eventually, but if you have a new scaly baby, this is probably the best option for you for at least a couple months. It's safe, very easy to clean and replace, and most importantly, very easy to inspect, which is why I use it for babies. What it can't do is provide enrichment, very well anyways. It doesn't hold humidity or absorb odors. So I use simple clean paper towels for new species in quarantine so that I can watch all their sheds, poo, and daily goings-ons just to make sure everyone is doing good. Even healthy snakes can actually develop issues during the stress of shipping to new homes, sometimes even severely. I have lost a snake to this because I didn't follow good protocols. I'll never do it again. The haters and baiters can go sit on a cold pole. This is about the health of our animals, not fillings. So I also keep my babies on this for a while so that I can track the same stuff and monitor everything. Yes, it takes a bit more checking on them to maintain cleanliness and especially moisture, but you need to anyways. They're new, and most of the species I breed need to eat every 3 to 5 days for the first few months. The cleaning is easy. Take them out, change it, replace it, and the water, put back in the furniture, then the new snake or baby hatchling. Done. It's quick, easy, and most importantly, lower stress, since these are the exact animals that are the most prone to stress and you're checking on them more often. So see how that all sorts of just fits together? Almost like a lot of people have been through this and experienced it and tried things and figured out what works best and produce healthy animals this way that thrive, which led us to where we are in the hobby today. Who would have thought? Yeah, there you go. The best options you have. Here's what I do and what I figured out though. If you have a burrower, like a hognose, say, I've switched to a core and then I mix it with sand and excavator clay. It is awesome. It holds tunnels good enough, and they have a blast rooting around in it. It's easy to clean, doesn't smell, low compaction risk unless like you're really stuffing the feeder into the mix. For some of my smaller animals, I just feed them on a lid whenever I'm feeding them anyways, and it holds moisture really well. If it does get a bit dry on top, a quick mist and all is good. I'm still working out my exact mixture, so I'll let you know when I get it dialed in. Let me know if you have one you already use, and I'll talk about that one too. For pretty much all of my other species, I stick to Cocoa Husk chips. So yeah, if this was helpful but you don't know what to do for the rest of the new babies enclosure, go watch the video on that. And don't forget to subscribe, because I'm planning a challenge for setting up an enclosure on a shoestring budget very soon. It's gonna be really fun and I'm pretty excited about it. See you there.